Coach's Corner with Coach Heck and the infamous Coach Patrick King. You're stuck with me, man.
I'm stuck.
You are stuck with me. I ain't going anywhere.
There's a lot of people that are jealous of me for sitting here, and there's some people that there's a little sympathy going on at the same time.
There's more people that are sympathetic to you. I'm just saying that much right now.
How long did you guard Larry Bird?
For about 4 or 5 minutes, the rest of the half.
How'd he do? How'd you do against him?
Between myself and my roommate, Don McLaughlin, we held him to 48 that afternoon.
Just remember what Ron Heklinski said today. Man, you ain't that good. The scouting report said you were pretty good. You ain't that good. Oh, man. Are you kidding me? I am not kidding you. No, I'm not. We are here tonight, a Monday night from the great Old Town Tap, Dorbin's Old Town Tap. There's going to be some karaoke here for the little kids, karaoke around the campfire. We are going to have a couple of our guests tonight here. Tony Letcher, the owner, and you hear us talk about Letcher's Health Markets Insurance. Tony's going to be in the bar restaurant here tonight, and then a friend of mine, Mark Havert's going to be here, who is our SEC savant. He knows the SEC.
He knows the SEC. Yes,
he knows Alabama. And so I'm really looking forward to a great show tonight. Our sponsorship for this show has been outstanding. We're still looking maybe to find a sponsor or two. If anybody would have an interest in doing that, please get a hold of me or Pat. And when we have different sponsorship levels. And it's a great opportunity for people who want to get their name out there and get their business's name out there. We have a lot of viewers. We're really good at what we do, right?
We think we do.
We think we're a couple of just slaps that are coming in and just kind of hanging out and talking sport. But we ain't a couple of slaps. We're not a.
We got the audiences here.
We're not a couple.
Welcome.
The audience is going to be on about 7:00 tonight, man. And I've been promoting you guys, and our listenership went from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how excited I am, man. We doubled our listenership.
Doubled our listeners.
But so our great sponsors, why don't we roll our great sponsors, and then we'll get started. We'll talk about some high school football here.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Facing the loss of a loved one can be overwhelming, filled with questions and stress. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka is here to provide compassionate support during these challenging times. With a deep commitment to the families they assist, Han Funeral Homes aims to deliver exceptional care and service. Their dedicated team of experienced funeral directors and staff is ready to guide and support you through every aspect of funeral planning. Located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mishawaka, Han Funeral Homes invites you to reach out at 574-255-1474 or visit their office for personalized assistance. Han Funeral Home, a family serving families. Are you ready to take the driving skills exam but haven't gone through formal driver's education? Frick's Driving School has you covered. If you're at least 16 years and 270 days old, which is like 9 months, and have held a valid Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, which is like 6 months, you can schedule your driving skills exam with Frick's. They provide the vehicle for the exam. Just bring yourself, a can-do attitude, and a ride to and from the office. The exam takes about 20 minutes, and appointments can usually be scheduled within a few days, and it costs $65. Call 574-256-0650 or visit fricksdrivered.com and book your exam today.
Wow. I mean, just a great list of sponsors, and the reason we're able to be on the air. Tony Letcher with Health Markets Insurance, Hahn Funeral Home. So the one thing I haven't talked about this year is, what did one casket say to the other casket?
That's a good point. And I still remember what they said.
What is that answer?
Is that you coughing?
That is the answer. Are you kidding me? That is the answer. Where's our laugh button?
Oh, wait
Give me
a minute.
laugh.
Oh,
Beautiful. Frick's driving service.
it's sad, isn't it?
Just they do a great job. And my wife's always telling me, Ron, you need to get some more driving lessons. I said, honey, I am 8. I know how to drive. She said, that's why you need some driving lessons. So she may call Frick, or she may call you and say, hey, Pat, can you teach Ron how to drive, or give him a refresher course?
Oh, boy. You know, she doesn't understand. You're a good driver compared to some of the people I've seen. And, you know, when I'm doing the driving lessons with the kid, I say kids, a lot of times it's college age and adults as well. I'm not so worried about the kid sitting next to me in the car as I am the crazy people changing lanes and stuff around us, because there's a lot of people out there just doing silly stuff that don't know how to change lanes. They don't know what, right on reds are or anything like that. So
One of them's probably heck.
Well, no. I mean, you know my car, and if I'm messing around and driving in front of your kids, just beep the horn.
Yeah.
Okay, just beep the horn, and I'll give you a nice little wave and a nice little finger, and then we'll move on. Hey, Magic Mind. I swear, Magic Mind reduces stress, gives you a steady, calm energy, gives you focus and clarity, and the benefits build daily. I've been taking it now probably for a month and a half. Take it every day, and Magic Mind helps me like I can't even like tell you how much more I remember stuff. It's amazing. So Magic Mind promo code is Coach's Corner 20, and you can get to it by magicmind.com. Go to and type in Coach's Corner 20 for a 20% discount. The Black Sedan Band.
We've always had some good music. I listened to some music today at the golf course. It was a little different too, but it was not Black Sedan. Tell me about the Black Sedan people.
Yeah, no, the Black Sedan Band is amazing. Out of the great state of Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. They play great music. They play all genres of music, and they're really, really good. My brother's the drummer. We have the Black Sedan hotline here. We will have the Black Sedan guest line in Dorbin's Old Town Tap tonight. And Steve Dorbin's Old Town Tap. The food is amazing. Hungarian goulash. So do you like Hungarian goulash?
I have never had Hungarian goulash.
You're kidding me.
No. I'm half German.
Hungarian goulash.
German.
You got to get on that stuff, man. Hungarian goulash is amazing. The sandwiches are great. So I ordered the fish tonight, and you always get the grilled chicken.
I do. And
Step out sometime, my boy. Step out.
I've said this for the last 25 years. I don't go to bed at night. I roost because I eat so much chicken.
Step out and get some other. So you would probably go to Ruth Chris and get the chicken.
Probably.
I'm gonna say I
can't tell you how long it's been since I've had red meat, except for maybe a hamburger. But a steak or anything, I bet it's been 20, 30 years since I've had a steak.
I'm going to say a prayer for you, and we've added a new feature to our show tonight. It's called.
Since we're on podcast, we can say this, can't we?
For lack of a better term, it's called the Dumbass of the Week. And right now, I'm nominating you on your choice of food. But I'm not saying you're going to get it.
Okay.
But I'm
a nominee for that? All right. Well, stay tuned on that. Hey, can I
talk about your golf game and who you played golf with?
I had a chance. Yeah, today. I was over at Notre Dame today at the Warren course, and that's had a blast. It just fell into this. Jack Flock, thank you very much, at Jackson's Whiskey and Cigar Bar down in Mishawaka at the 100 Center. They're down there right now. There is a Navy SEAL named Rob O'Neill, and I didn't know that much about him. It just to show you how naive I am, and so much that we live in this school teacher world. But Navy SEAL, but he was in South Bend this week and had a big shindig for him last night. He is one of the Navy SEALs that was involved in killing Osama bin Laden.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. And all the things that you hear about that. And, I sent Scott a note, and he's like going gaga. Scott's got his book and showed, we sent to that. I sent him a picture of it, and his wife, Sophia, was just going crazy because she loves the guy. She thinks he's the greatest thing in the world next to Scott, maybe. But we played golf with him. I shared a golf cart with him. I told some great stories. We were on the 12th hole, matter of fact, and there were some fellas that were the helicopter pilots, and I got to get this straight because I get the battles
Magic
mixed
Mind,
up.
man, Magic Mind.
Well, they were in the 90s. That would be Somalia, Black Hawk Down.
Yes.
Everybody's like seen the movies and stuff. Well, these were the real deal. These were the men that were the actual Black Hawk helicopter pilots.
Wow.
They were in South Bend today, and they were running the 12th hole-in-one contest and doing a lot of things. So it was a big outing for the Navy SEALs, fundraiser for them, awareness for the people that have been lost and all that. But just talking to him about some of the things with Navy SEALs it was just amazing. It was beyond anything I could have comprehended. Some of the training that they've been through and some of the places he's been. I think he was involved with the Somalian pirates that kidnapped or took over one of the boats or something. Maybe, Scott, you could fill in some of that. What was it? Phillips was the fellow's
Captain
name?
Phillips.
Captain Phillips. He was involved with retaking or whatever happened with that. And again, I need to go back and do my research. But I was at the golf course.
I mean, you're a history teacher, right? You have a history degree.
Yes.
You got to go back and research?
This stuff's not in the history book when I was around. This is too new.
That's amazing.
This is too new.
That's amazing. So here would be the question I would have. Did Rob O'Neill get into any specifics on the shooting of bin Laden or the planning of it?
He did the planning. And, one of the things he mentioned was that nothing went as planned. He said, and that's one of the things we're prepared for. You have a plan. But he said, I remember on the radio, one of the other pilots said something like, turn your mic down or something like that. Well, he didn't say, turn your mic down. He said, we are going down. And it was the pilot whose evidently chopper had been hit and that crashed. And they went ahead and landed anyways and just made adjustments. But he thought they were still around. So they landed their chopper and were going through the regular procedure that they had planned, thinking these other people were going to be on the other side of the building coming in and whatever they were doing, strategies they had. They were nowhere around because their chopper had been down.
Wow.
So, a lot of it, lack of communication, things like that. But he said, that's what we're trained to do is the next thing. You don't ask why, you just go on. He said, and when I talk to football teams and stuff, he even mentioned, he goes, we don't discuss and cry why it's 2nd and 15. We just tell you it's 2nd and 15. What are you going to do?
Yeah, no,
exactly.
exactly.
And that's the strategy. And I asked him, I said, just playing around, I said, are there any women that are Navy SEALs? And he says, no. And I was kind of chuckling because if you think about it, women are always asking why. Why this, why that? And say, I don't know. That's just the way it is. It's that Jeff Foxworthy joke that he has going, I don't know. He just said he was in an accident. Well, who was involved? I don't know. He just said he was in an accident. Well, that's the same thing. They just give you facts, and then you act on those facts. So it was a great day. We had a good time.
So all the women listening tonight, disregard any comments that Pat King just made.
No, that's the way it is. That's why we're here.
No, I know. I know. But so like some of the information I would think would be classified information.
Oh, yeah. We tried our best not to talk about bin Laden. We talked about everything. One thing I did, and Scott mentioned this, and Scott, you can chime in whenever you choose. He was a pretty good basketball player in high school and a little bit of college. I think he said he went to someplace out in Montana for a year and ended up joining the Navy by accident, he said. And then one thing led to another, and he ends up Navy SEAL. But he has a notoriety. He made 105 free throws in a row at one time.
Yeah, him and Steve Alford, man.
Yeah,
him and Steve Alford.
So he's and Scott asked me. He said, ask him if he made if he's broken his 105 record. So, but he's got a book. So you guys can look him up. Rob O'Neill, Navy SEAL, things like that.
All right, so we have a great show planned tonight, and obviously all my Chicago Bear gear I'm sporting today, and we'll talk about the NFL a little bit later. Why don't you kind of prep us a little bit now about some high school football games that went on, high school sports? I know the Mishawaka, I got to give some props to the Mishawaka high school lady volleyball team. They had a big volleyball classic at Mishawaka on Saturday, and Mishawaka ended up winning. And Mishawaka was 8-1 with their only loss coming to a very powerful Warsaw team. And this classic that they had some really good teams. And so kudos to the Mishawaka ladies volleyball program. But what about some high school football, man?
Well, locally, I think when we left last Monday, we were talking, we were really pushing the Mishawaka Concord game, and that ended up being a dandy, 35-34 down at Concord. But Concord did come away with a little bit I know about it. Mishawaka played from behind most of the game, caught up and had a chance, toward the end, but just ended up being a 1-point ball game.
Well, with 3 minutes left, Mishawaka was down 15 points, and Mishawaka had no timeouts, down 15 points. They score. They kick an onside kick. They get the onside kick. They go down and score again, and they go for 2 points. Instead of going for the tie, they go for 2 points for the win.
Okay.
And they get stuffed on their flex bone action. And Concord comes out with a win. I mean, from what I was told, Concord does a really good job and has great action defensively in stopping the flex bone offense that Mishawaka runs, and they've always done a really nice job of it. Now Mishawaka will host Northwood this weekend, and again, Northwood historically has done a pretty good job of defensively stopping that flex bone. So we'll see if the Cavemen can rebound. The game that you had was a drop-dead, absolutely phenomenal defensive battle between St. Joe and New Prairie.
We did, and you're exactly right. That was the second game I was going to mention. Was I was out at New Prairie, and it was a home, the conference opener for both teams, and turned out St. Joe and New Prairie, it was everything as advertised.
Except offensively for New Prairie.
Well, yeah. It was a defensive battle, plain and simple, and I think both teams really struggled offensively. There was, I think, both teams 150 yards total offense for each, where both of them were used to going 300 yards plus.
Well, I talked to your partner Kenny on Saturday morning as I get together and meet a couple St. Joe guys and hang out. Kenny showed up. And his comment to me was New Prairie made no adjustments offensively, that St. Joe had 8 and maybe sometimes 9 defenders in the box, and New Prairie did not make any adjustments. So Kenny kind of, the mayor of New Carlisle kind of threw the New Prairie coaching staff,
he was doing a little coaching
a little bit.
But Kenny's a homer. So he's going to try to help. He's right. New Prairie looked a lot like Notre Dame did on Saturday. They tried to run the ball, and I guess a little bit, but it was run, and then they threw it when they had to, and they couldn't. I think New Prairie was 3 of 16 passing for the game.
Wow.
That's not going to win because St. Joe can throw the ball anytime they want. And St. Joe's a very good team. If they've got 3rd and 8, this Hurley kid they've got at 6'3", 210, playing wide receiver, he just runs like a 10-yard stop, comes back and get in. They literally throw it to the sticks, just like you see college teams do. And he'll run people off, come back to the sticks, and get his catch and get a first down. He had very few yards, what they call it, run after catch. But they would get their first down, get to the ground, go back to the huddle, first down. Their timing on their passes, it was a whole different concept of a passing game compared to what New Prairie has. So
yeah, obviously if St. Joe went up and down the field a little bit, obviously New Prairie did a really nice job defensively to not let them in the end zone multiple times.
Their defense was on the field a lot for New Prairie, and the thing that was interesting was New Prairie literally had 10 people up in the box, and they had one person guarding the wideout, and so they had 10 people in the box, and New Prairie only has 6 or 7 that can block them. So they're outnumbered at the point of attack, and they couldn't do it. And New Prairie's offense, the way it is, they pull a lot of guards, they pull their H back, and they just hide behind them and then wait for openings where there were no openings. So 7-0.
Good. I mean, great.
So it was a great close game.
The great NIC win for the St. Joe Indians
very much so.
/ Hickory Huskers.
Yeah. Elkhart put it to poor old Washington. I think it was 69-0 at the half.
Yeah,
which is really sad.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Penn struggled in the first half. I think it was 14-7 at the half, down over at Riley, and then they ran off and hid in the second half, 35-7, and then Marion kicked Adams pretty good, 41-8. Now, the one game that I was going to mention over in the NLC, we had mentioned that Warsaw had lost the week before down to Indianapolis at Warren Central, and I said, I don't think I would want to be the team that's getting ready to play Bart Curtis the week after he gets shut out. And that very much held true because they beat up on Goshen pretty good. I think it was 42-10 maybe, or no, it was even more than that. I think it was it was ugly.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Ugly.
Joey Heck's trying to get his guys ready to play a little bit. And
Goshen and Plymouth play this week, so that maybe that'll be a chance for both teams to have some success.
So maybe that could be a dub for the Goshen Redhawks.
Yeah, they've got a home game with Goshen. So but there was some exciting basketball, exciting football, in that area. And in the 6A around, all the 6A teams won, and that were top 10 teams. There were really no upsets. I'll tell you, in 5A, you had a lot of upsets. Merrillville lost, but they lost to a 6A Crown Point team. Whiteland lost to Decatur Central. East Central had a second loss to Cincinnati Moeller. Now they're still undefeated in Indiana, but they've lost 2 games to Ohio teams. The Marion Giants beat Kokomo. That's just trivia, but Kokomo's been very good the last couple of years, and Marion's been awful.
In basketball?
In football.
Oh, no.
Get your team straight.
Stop. In Marion and
Marion
in Kokomo,
Giants.
both. Who cares? They don't care about football.
Kokomo football's been pretty good the last couple of years. In 4A, New Pal, Chittard, Evansville Wrights, Greenfield Central, they all won. Leo and Martinsville, Northwood, they'll move up because New Prairie and Mishawaka both lost. So they'll drop down a couple. I think the new poll came out today. Big news in 2A, Indianapolis Lutheran, who had been 1A state champs, moves up to 2A. They're still number 1. They lose to Triton Central last week in a close game, 16-13, but they'll get healthy this week. They play Covenant Christian. So there's a lot of good football in high school level here early in the season, as we've now played 3 games. And they're already a third of the way through their season. We just hit September.
So what did Russ Radke's Knox Redskins do? Do you have any idea? I mean, Russ has just been a legendary coach here in northern Indiana. Started out at North Judson, built that Blue Jay football program tremendously. Has been at both New Prairie and I think New Prairie, Griffith High School, and now took the head coaching job at Knox High School. And my good friend Dave Reisner, who was the assistant superintendent at Penn, the ex-principal of Mishawaka, hired me at Knox for my first job. And I can say without a doubt, what a phenomenal year that was. As I had a cottage on Bass Lake, loved as a 22-year-old, had my own freaking cottage.
You're living the life. You're living the life, and you're 20-some years old.
Every boy that I had at Manchester College made it down every weekend, and we partied every weekend.
I don't blame them.
Now, my brother Mike then was the head football coach of Richmond.
I can't imagine you doing all that stuff in Knox without the police.
Well, there were police involved, but I'm not going there. Unlike Mr. O'Neill, there were police involved, but I'm not going there. But so my brother's head football coach at Richmond, and my brother calls me. He says, "Ronnie, I got you the junior varsity coaching job at Richmond High School, and so you need to come down and interview, but the job's yours." I said, "Whoa!" I said, "Hold on." I said, "I may not want that job." He said, I like
it, Knox.
I said, "Mick, the time I'm having in Knox here, I don't know if I could be any happier." He said, "I'm coming to Knox and smacking you. You're coming to Richmond if you want to be a basketball coach."
Right.
So I spent 2 years at Richmond then on the junior varsity level and actually went through the gamut of the North Central Conference without knowing that at some point in time I was going to be the head coach. Yeah, and so
you had a little taste of that right off the bat.
No,
you're talking about Knox. Knox played Culver Military.
Yeah, no, Knox.
It was a great game.
Seriously?
Great game. It ended up 47-46 Culver.
No.
CMA won 47-46. That was one of the big games of the week up in this area. But yeah, CMA knocks 47-46. Defensive struggle.
Wow.
And it just shows you run that wishbone, you can put points on the board.
Wow, CMA.
CMA's doing just fine.
Yeah, good. So, hey, listen, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment in the chat box for us. Give us a thumbs up on the video. And so what do you think about the chat? I know I talked to my son, Jack, and Jack was going to, he was going to chat us up a couple of questions here. But, hey, give us a question or two. You love the slider for 6. You have the slider for 6 up.
I do.
That's a new play.
Oh, that's the new play.
That's a slider for 6 up. That's a slider.
That sounds like a pitch.
Yeah, no, Texas Rangers, they stink this year, by the way. But hey, that's a slider. So anyway, high school football in full swing. We're talking about college football now, man. And before we get to college football, we have a couple of big-time college football guests here in Tony Letcher and Mark Havard. And so we're going to do some commercials here, and then we'll come back and
let them finish dinner.
We will have Tony Letcher first on the Black Sedan Hotline live. And Mark Havard will bring up the rear, talk about SEC football and specifically Alabama. So let's take a listen to our commercials here, and we'll be back in a minute and a half.
Medicare plans can be confusing, but they don't have to be. I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I can help you compare your options because I'm appointed with many nationally recognized carriers. With my help, you can find the coverage that fits your needs and budget. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Facing the loss of a loved one can be overwhelming, filled with questions and stress. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka is here to provide compassionate support during these challenging times. With a deep commitment to the families they assist, Han Funeral Homes aims to deliver exceptional care and service. Their dedicated team of experienced funeral directors and staff is ready to guide and support you through every aspect of funeral planning. Located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mishawaka, Han Funeral Homes invites you to reach out at 574-255-1474 or visit their office for personalized assistance. Han Funeral Home, a family serving families. Looking to get your driver's license and hit the road with confidence? Choose Frick's Driving School, Northern Indiana's top-rated driving school. At Frick's, they offer expert instruction for anyone aged 16 and up, tailored to help you master the skills you need for a lifetime of safe driving. Their experienced instructors ensure you're well prepared for both the written and behind-the-wheels tests, and one of those instructors is our very own Coach King. Located on Addison Road in Mishawaka, they provide flexible scheduling and personalized lessons to fit your needs. Plus, they offer the state driving test in-house for just $65, making the process even more convenient. Call them today, 574-256-0650, or visit fricksdrivered.com to learn more.
We are back at Dorbin's Old Town Tap a little bit here.
Yep.
And so I just want to give a little shout out to Magic Mind. Again, reduces stress, steadies and calms your energy, focus and gives you clarity, and it benefits from daily use. And so I'm not here going, hey, I'm going crazy, man. No, I'm cool. I'm calm. I'm like the underside of a pillow, man. Cool. So, and then we have on the Black Sedan Hotline in person tonight at Dorbin's Old Town Tap, we have the great Tony Letcher. Tony's one of our major sponsors and has been with us now for the second year. And Tony Letcher is a 1995 graduate of South Bend Adams.
I know.
He's an Eagle, man.
I know.
I mean, you and Tony got a lot in common.
We do. He was there before me, thank heavens, or he would have had to put up with me. I was there 96, 97 was my first year.
Talk about your experience at Adams, man.
I loved Adams. So
It was
that was a long time ago.
Wasn't it?
Long time ago.
Oh, no. So you said a long time ago. I still have dreams about my days as a St. Joe Indian, man. I still got dreams of walking out there at the homecoming court with a basketball uniform on and got my arm with a little girl right there, man. Those were the best times ever. So you played soccer at Adams?
No, I didn't play any sports at Adams. So I was working. I said, I'm going to work and make some money.
Oh man! So if you had to go back and do it all over again,
yeah, I would have.
I mean, what
soccer
sport
for
would
sure.
you have played?
Oh,
Soccer?
Yeah.
Soccer was big time back then too, at Coach
big time.
Tallman, wasn't it?
All my friends played soccer, so.
Good. Now you're into the health market insurance. Talk about your company for a minute, man. Give your own self a commercial. I love hearing your commercials, and I got to tell you, the Chicago Bears, boom. Preseason games, meet Tony Letcher's Health Markets Insurance. Talk about your company for a minute.
Yep. So I make dreams come true. So whether it's health insurance, Medicare, most of my clients are either self-employed or retiring early. So I'm a Medicare expert. That's what I do. So
I'll be
simple.
so hopefully I'll be visiting you soon because
someday.
Before we leave, I need to give you some information because I definitely have some business to take care of here with open enrollment coming up here.
Oh yeah, we're gearing up.
I want to make sure that I have the right stuff, and I need to check.
Client, you're a client.
You've got a client waiting to happen. So before you leave, make sure I get you some information.
Most definitely.
All right. We'll take
all
care
you
of that.
got to do is
you got the number right there.
Is watch the advertisement.
I understand. I just need to touch base and say, hey, call me.
Okay.
Or
Definitely.
There it
leave.
is right there, man.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yes,
And you
we
have
need to talk.
understand, he doesn't take Magic Mind. Okay? No, he needs to take
No,
it.
the problem is
but he doesn't.
my wife does all the business, so I'm actually speaking for her.
And then we can do a testimonial afterwards.
Yes.
Well, here's what we got to deal with. She's going to be 62.
Okay.
So we have to figure out how much insurance
That's
is going
what we
to
do.
cost her between 62 and 65. Can she retire?
All day.
Or does she have to just keep working?
Nope. All day.
Okay.
We'll take
so,
care of it.
so
Becky, you
one
got to
of
go
my-
back to LaSalle tomorrow, sweetie.
Nope, not at
Sorry.
all.
So one of my favorite bands back in the day was a band called War. And I don't know if you remember War or not.
I do.
But they played one of my favorite all-time songs was called All Day Music. All Day Music, and when I was playing basketball and I was reining in Jays, I would run down to the court and say, "That's All Day Music, man."
Right.
So talking to him about insurance is freaking all day music.
Outside of 15,
True.
his story is better. Outside of 15, let him shoot. Let him shoot.
There you go. Now, how did you hear about that? How do you know that?
Because that's the world
I got a
That's the
report.
world we grew up in. There was no three-pointers, so
That's a great point.
anything outside the foul line was you and I, we don't shoot that. You go look for a better one.
No, I know. You're exactly right.
That was the world we grew up in.
You're exactly right. So so athletically, you love Indiana University sports.
Yeah, always been a big IU guy. So started with basketball, Bobby Knight back in the day. Grew into football, watching Antoine Randall L run around, and kind of brought that program back again, and kind of been a fan ever since.
So what year would you say that you started watching IU basketball?
Probably
if you
when I was in
remember.
high school, probably in the
90s,
probably in the
early
90s.
After Steve Alford.
Yep.
After
Right
Steve
after Alford, right before Blue Chips came out.
Don't-
We were just talking about
get
that
me
the other day.
started
We were
on
just talking
Blue
about that the other
Chips.
day.
Don't get him started on that.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because Pete Bell.
Right.
I mean, Pete Bell had it right.
Oh, here
He did.
He had it right. All Ricky wanted was a tractor. He didn't want anything else. And Neon Dion didn't even want the car.
Stop, please.
He didn't want the car. But they gave it to him anyway. Now today, in today's world, and we'll talk about today's world a little bit down the line. But so was that in maybe Damon Bailey's era?
It was. Calbert Cheney. He's probably
Some
one I
good
remember.
names.
Nover was there then, and Alan Henderson.
Yeah.
Those were good old days, man.
Well,
good
tell-
teams.
well, let's jump forward. Just give people a preview. How is recruiting this year for IU? What are we going to?
Oh,
What are
man.
we going to see?
he knows it all,
solid.
man.
What are we going to see?
I believe they had the #1 transfer and recruiting class. So
Even when losing the
even they lost the 5-star and got another one. So
Okay.
They're projected to finish number 2 behind Purdue. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and so as we talked about that projection behind Purdue,
Right.
I mean, that's just a respect thing for Purdue.
Oh, for sure.
Because of what
For
they
sure.
accomplished last
sure.
year, and there's not a, I mean, trust me, I don't believe Purdue has another Zach Edey
No.
waiting in the wings, because at the end of the day, he was a dominant player.
He was the Shaq of his time.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, without
Well put.
without
I
question.
mean, nobody could stop him.
Well, and I remember watching Shaq play in high school.
Right.
So back in the day, because I was in Texas back then, I remember watching Shaq play at San Antonio J High School. It was
Wow.
on the military base, and he was playing 3A basketball in Texas.
So at that time, was dunking allowed?
Oh yeah.
So you saw Shaq just really tear some
yep,
stuff down.
Play number 1 was a right-handed dunk. Play number 2 was a left-handed dunk, and play number 3 was a two-handed dunk.
So who is the big 7-footer that IU has coming in?
I thought we were talking football today.
No.
I didn't
We
prep
are.
it.
We are.
General
Yeah,
step. They're supposed
they
to
do
be
have
good in basketball.
They have a. Yeah, I can't think of his name.
I mean, he was a big-time player.
He was.
I think his last name might be Ballo
Yeah, something like that.
or Balu or something like that.
Okay.
I know
Umar
he's a
Ballo.
great shot. That's it.
There it
That's
is.
it.
There it is. I hear a voice. Scott chimes in from Texas every once in a while.
Where did he play at, Scott?
Arizona.
That's right. That's right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And he's a very good.
he's
He's a very good defensive player.
yeah.
Good enough to lose to Purdue.
He's not supposed to graduate.
Well, we'll get on right. We'll get on.
Scott,
right
we're gonna mute you here real quick. We got an echo going too, so whatever you did, we got to get rid of the echo.
All right, so IU football 2-0, man. They beat
win.
Florida Atlantic.
The first game they beat Florida Atlantic, and then they played Western Illinois
Who
on
is-
Friday night, which I didn't realize we were hanging out, and I didn't know they were even playing.
So is Western Illinois a college, or is it a good high school in Illinois?
That's a good question.
Didn't Western
After the
Illinois
score.
play Northern Illinois 2 weeks prior?
They did.
Just checking.
Yeah.
So 77-3.
Yeah.
So your thoughts your thoughts on Kurt Signetti, the new coach?
I mean, well, if you look at the first 2 games, their defense looks pretty good. That's what you have to do against those bad teams to shut them out. So,
Yeah.
and after scoring, I mean, anybody that scores 77 is a good team. I don't care who you play. I mean, 77 points is a ton of
That's
points.
a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. So, I mean, I thought they were going to win 7 or 8. They may win more than 7 or 8 if they can stay healthy. And I mean, but they look good. They look real good.
I mean, my neighbor Chris Potts is an attorney in town, and Chris has got him going 8-4 with a
Right.
bowl victory.
That's where I had them originally. I think they could go 9-3.
Wow.
I think they might upset, I mean, the way Michigan played, who knows what happens in November. I mean, there's a chance maybe they beat them this year. You just never know.
Yeah, no.
It's at IU.
So that's amazing. And so when you say that these buy-in games, they don't really matter, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how much the buy-in was
Right.
on the Indiana Western Illinois game, but I know on the Notre Dame NIU game, the
Right.
buy-in was $1.5 million.
Correct.
And so you say, well, those games don't matter. Really? Ask the Notre Dame
Yeah.
coaching staff if they matter.
Right.
If they matter. And so, so when the credibility time comes, when a committee would look at their schedule, I think Northern Illinois screws all of that up for people saying, well, they just played Northern Illinois, or they just played Western Illinois. Who's Western Illinois?
No, I agree with all of that. I mean, these games are all about execution. So, they're getting somebody that's weaker so they can try things and test things and, make sure everything's working right. So when the Big Ten starts, you're ready to go. And I don't think Coach thought he was going to walk out with a 77-3 win.
It's almost like when in basketball, when you're with the like Notre Dame would play a Division II
Correct.
team or NAIA
The first
team.
2 games,
those
right.
first 2 or 3 games.
But we see it every year. Every year you see
There's an accident somewhere along the line.
in most teams, it's usually a scare.
Right.
And Notre Dame had a scare
Well-
until that last field goal, and then it turned into a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know?
And we're going to talk about that Notre Dame game in its entirety and
Right.
and how that game played out. But next week now it's big boy football, right? Because the
agree.
Hoosiers go to
Playing Big
UCLA.
Ten. Well, it's funny how, last week everybody's saying Notre Dame's going to be undefeated, and now people are going, man, I don't know if they're going to be 500.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, over one game. So, it's still early. Anything could happen, but
Now, I did see for IU, they go to Los Angeles this coming Saturday
This will
to
be a good
play
test.
UCLA. They are the NBC primetime game Saturday night.
I saw that.
Yeah, they've hit the big time.
Yeah. I saw
IU, UCLA, NBC,
Yeah.
8 o'clock Saturday night.
And what's the chance of that happening until they bring in a very, very successful and winning coach, Curt Cignetti?
I agree. And he brought some good players in too. I mean, he has a style, and he brought the guys into his system that he knows he can win with, and so far so good. I mean, it's still a long season. Big Ten can be rough.
Well, as a matter of fact, when you look at the Big Ten, you're talking about Michigan State, Illinois, Nebraska, which put it to Colorado, which doesn't surprise me because as I watch Colorado play, I don't see much discipline. I mean, to be honest with you.
There are a lot of flash.
And Ohio State, the Oregon Ducks. Are you kidding me? Penn State, Rutgers, USC, Washington, the Badgers of Wisconsin, who are going to host Alabama this week. So we'll see a little bit about Wisconsin.
Right.
Purdue, which is 1-0, and they'll host the non-fighting Irish this week. UCLA, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Northwestern, and Maryland.
Right.
You're talking about a league, and you got to go through 7 of those teams?
Right. Well, I mean, it used to be, well, are we going to play Michigan, Ohio State, this year?
It was the big two, right?
And if you get one of them, hey, it's a good year. And if you have both or neither of them, you're like, okay, this is our bowl year. And now it's like, man, you might get stuck playing Oregon or USC or.
Yeah.
So it's so different this year. I mean, who knows? You might play all 4 of them one year.
Yeah, now with the playoffs, they're talking about, 1-win teams or 1-loss teams, 2-loss teams, who they
Right.
are. That's all so much down the road. Whatever we decide today is going to change next week.
Correct.
And it'll change 2 or 3 more times as the
Right.
season progresses.
Right.
Yeah, and the narrative, and in coaching, it's always been like this. It's what have you done for me lately?
Correct.
And if Coach Cignetti can get his guys, and again, don't kid yourself, that trip out to Los Angeles, that's a tough trip, man.
Right.
And so when you're talking about making that trip, I mean, not only in football, but in basketball and women's basketball on a Tuesday night,
Right.
you're playing in Los Angeles.
Right.
I mean, those
lot of
logistics are
distractions.
tough.
Well, and if you think about it now, too, this is going to be a big recruiting opportunity
big
for
time.
IU
Big time.
because now that you get to bring IU's football brand to Los Angeles.
Right.
And that's the same idea of having your East Coast teams playing Big Ten. And all of a sudden you've got, Maryland in the Big Ten, Penn State has been in the Big Ten. Now you're competing for athletes. So this gives IU a chance
Right.
to do that. That's
Well,
similar
2 of their
like-
big
yeah.
schools are in the Big Ten. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if I was him, I'd be like, hey, UCLA doesn't want you. USC doesn't want you. Come to IU and play
Yeah,
those teams
exactly.
every year.
Yeah, so my thoughts on recruiting and where IU and where Purdue specifically fell in recruiting
Right.
was I mean, they weren't in contention with kids that were going to go to Michigan or Ohio State
Right.
or Illinois. They might have been in contention with kids that were going to lower conferences. But at the end of the day, you
Right.
can't compete in the Big Ten if you're recruiting those kids.
Correct. Well, I think it's all about development, and that's where some of these coaches stand out against other coaches.
Right.
And
that's one of the things I think the trip to Los Angeles has to help
Right.
IU because it's going to be name recognition. People in Los
sure.
Angeles are going to know a little bit about
Correct.
who's IU.
All right,
Right.
so do you really think it's about development in this time period of college athletics, or do you think it's
I think
about
with
money?
football, I think
and
with football
NIL?
for sure, because it's still the age where you redshirt a lot of your freshmen. Unless you're a 5-star or maybe a 4-star, you're probably not going to play your first year. You're going to sit on the bench. So mentally, how's this guy going to handle it? Especially if you're a quarterback. Can you sit there for 2 or 3 years and watch 2 or 3 other quarterbacks play before you get your chance?
Or are you going to pack up and
Or you're
move
going to pack and
someplace
go
else?
right.
Yeah.
So certain positions for sure. Or if you're a 3rd or 4th string halfback or wide receiver, some coaches I think are better at saying, hey, you're going to get your day.
Well, here's where that 3rd string wide receiver is going to say, hey coach, either I'm playing or I'm going because I can go to Ball State, I can get some NIL money, and I can get clock at Ball State. I can get clock at Miami of Ohio. I can play in some of these smaller conferences. Now either pony up and give me some money to keep me around, or I'm going to go.
Well, I also think it's getting the right kid.
Right.
You know, when you're sitting in that living room, I mean, I'm sure you know, is this kid gonna? Is he a Hoosier or is he a flake?
Yeah.
I mean, you can usually tell when you're talking to a kid. You know, is this kid gonna be here for 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years?
Well, I found that out like over at Elkhart. I was over at Elkhart substitute teaching, and a couple college coaches were in. It's interesting. They're bringing boosters with them now.
Oh yeah.
And it's not only the assistant coach, he's got a booster with him to tell the kids, here's what we can offer you.
Right.
And that's, things that used to be under the table now are just, they're out there.
Again, blue chips, man.
I know, it's out there.
It
If
is.
blue
What
chips
can
were
you
in
offer
play
me?
now, Pete Bell would say, all right. But so at the end of the day, though, the Big Ten is still about getting quality players.
Correct.
And players that you're going after, that Ohio State's going after.
Right. I mean, everybody's going to lose people every year, and everybody's going to gain people now. It's just the world we live in. So, I think a lot of it's just getting the guys for your system. It's all systems,
Yeah, no,
what
I
brand of
can't.
football you're playing, and getting those guys that fit that brand, that style,
agree.
that system.
I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with you on that because at the end of the day, I mean, you look at a quarterback,
Right.
And these quarterbacks are moving from school A to school B to school C. There's quarterbacks that are on their fourth school,
Right.
and they're still getting money, and they're still playing.
Right.
Somebody played this weekend. He was on his fourth school, and he was in his 8th year. Where he started? Who was that? Was one of the night games? I can't remember who
I
that
remember
was.
hearing that stat.
And I watched so much football, I can't remember which one it was. But
Yeah, he's the oldest.
it was maybe it was
kid
at
to
the
play
Wake
college
Forest. Was it
football.
the Wake Forest game? It was a Wake Forest quarterback.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
like it was. It was one of the Wake Forest has 2 quarterbacks. It was one of them. He's like a 8th year senior or something.
Well, and so Wake Forest is leading Virginia 30-17, and ends up getting beat 31-30. Well, so my nephew, who was the Georgia Player of the Year last year.
Wow.
Now, if you watched Nebraska play Colorado, Nebraska's quarterback was a kid named Dylan Raiola.
Okay.
Who had signed to go to Georgia, and he played high school football in Georgia. So he came in second, to my nephew in the Mr. Football, voting in the state of Georgia. And now Dylan Raiola is the starting quarterback
At Nebraska.
at a 2-0 Nebraska team. Who's really, really good, and my nephew is rightfully so the number 3 quarterback at Wake Forest because they brought 2 seniors in, and they want them to sit and they want them to learn and things like that, So do you know much about the IU quarterback?
I know his name's Rourke. I believe he came over from Ohio. He was, I believe, highly touted. Actually, he's one of the top transfers. Mm-hmm. So, I kind of looked at some of his stats from last year. I mean, he's solid. I watched him that first game especially. I mean, he seems very poised. He's not in a hurry.
Well, we're going to find out this week, Saturday night, aren't we?
For sure.
So do you know what school he transferred from?
I believe Ohio.
Oh,
So he's a
Ohio
He's a MAC
University.
player.
Yeah, MAC
out of the
player.
MAC. And the MAC, I mean, they produce a lot of
They
good players,
sure
Hey,
have.
stop.
especially on the transfer market. I mean, there's a lot of guys that leave there and go
And
bigger
Carson Steele
Every year.
that played at Ball State,
Right.
Left and went to UCLA last year, got a nice little payday. Made the Kansas City Chiefs roster, active
Right.
roster. So you're exactly right.
Yeah, he's good. And Pond's the quarterback they got from James Madison. They're saying he could be a pro shutdown corner. So and he's looked really good too. We will see this weekend though.
So what IU football games are you going to?
I'm going to the Michigan game for sure.
Oh,
I got a son there. It's his birthday that weekend, so there's no greater gift than watching IU hopefully beat Michigan that weekend.
and that's at IU.
At
and,
IU.
We're gonna, because I don't think the Michigan quarterback Davis Warren, the Michigan quarterback didn't show me anything
No,
now.
that whole team looks rough.
Yeah, now
They're still well. And somebody told me they have 5 new linemen.
Yeah.
The other linemen all went pro.
They did.
So they have 5 new linemen,
for quarterback.
plus all the
Their
quarterback,
halfback,
new
half
coaches.
their defense.
Yeah. So
They're rough.
they're trying to get some glue. They need some glue right now.
They got the talent.
Yeah, and so
It's just a
and
matter
so
of
when
coming
you,
together.
They
and so
need
when
to
you think
play.
about Michigan, you always talk about it in the trenches.
Right.
That Michigan will pound the ball. They have these huge offensive linemen. That their defensive linemen will stop the run.
They're ground and pound.
And
It's
so
traditional.
They got pounded Saturday.
They did.
they did, but that was a really good team that they got pounded by.
Oh, for sure. Texas
Yeah.
looks solid.
Texas
Yeah,
very good.
I mean, Quinn Ewers is a dynamite QB. As a matter of fact, I mean, for Arch Manning to sit behind someone,
Right.
that quarterback's got to be good because we know the pedigree and the talent that Arch Manning has, and so Arch Manning is saying to himself, "Man, I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm getting a lot of money. I get 3 hots in a cot.
Right.
I have chicks everywhere because my last name is Manning. So why not? Why not enjoy Austin, Texas?
They've
man?
redshirted him, so he'll have at least 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
Well, so listen, we certainly appreciate you sponsoring us and helping us out. As Pat said, he's going to hook up with you. I'm going to hook up with you. Our good friend Mark Havard will not be hooking up with you because he has a few more years to work. But I mean, all the good that you do for people when you talk about a Medicare and what they need to do and who they need to trust, and they trust you, right?
Oh, for sure. And the best thing is it doesn't cost you anything. You can talk to me for free.
Well, no, hell, we're talking for
know.
free right now, man. This is great.
It doesn't cost a dime. So
This is
go.
great.
if you have any questions, just give me a call.
Fair enough.
All right, hey,
Thanks.
listen, hey, Tony, we certainly appreciate it, man, and we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, go Bears.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about the Bears. We're going to hit the Bears here in a minute. Yep. So that was the great Tony Letcher, and you got
It's good stuff.
No, you got to get together with him. He loves
I do because
IU.
I told you I've got business to do.
He
'Cause
loves IU.
I've got a wife at 62, or will be 62, and
I'm
we
supposed
gotta
to
figure out
say her
insurance.
age.
We're at that point; it doesn't matter.
She's 45.
Okay,
She's-
mom's 45.
She is 40. I thought she was 45 myself when I saw her. She's not 62.
Am I still echoing?
Shh, no, you're doing fine.
No,
Okay,
you're good.
Okay, it was a
good.
secret.
Hey, listen, we're going to put some sponsorship on, take a minute, and then we're going to get the great Mark Havard situated over here. We're going to talk some SEC football here.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Scott, it's all yours.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Facing the loss of a loved one can be overwhelming, filled with questions and stress. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka is here to provide compassionate support during these challenging times. With a deep commitment to the families they assist, Han Funeral Homes aims to deliver exceptional care and service. Their dedicated team of experienced funeral directors and staff is ready to guide and support you through every aspect of funeral planning. Located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mishawaka, Han Funeral Homes invites you to reach out at 574-255-1474 or visit their office for personalized assistance. Han Funeral Home, a family serving families. Are you ready to take the driving skills exam but haven't gone through formal driver's education? Frick's Driving School has you covered. If you're at least 16 years and 270 days old, which is like 9 months, and have held a valid Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, which is like 6 months, you can schedule your driving skills exam with Frick's. They provide the vehicle for the exam. Just bring yourself, a can-do attitude, and a ride to and from the office. The exam takes about 20 minutes, and appointments can usually be scheduled within a few days, and costs $65. Call 574-256-0650 or visit fricksdrivered.com and book your exam today.
at Dorbin's Old Town Tap. And we have a really, really good friend of mine, Mark Havert, is from the great state of Alabama. So obviously Mark grew up knowing the Southeastern Conference, the SEC as we call it. He is a tremendous Alabama football fan. So, I mean, what do you got to say when the AP poll has 7 or 6 out of the first 7 as SEC schools? Now that's unprecedented, right?
I don't know if it's unprecedented, but we really don't care about the AP polls anyway. So it's not about what you get ranked right now. It's what you get ranked at the end. So that's the way Alabama fans look at it. We could really care less about these little chump polls like AP. They don't mean anything. They don't mean squat.
So the only thing they mean to me is that the SEC is as powerful as a conference as there is in all of college football. That's what they mean to me.
Well, we'll find out at the end, right? I mean, to me, it's like you got to get into the season, a few games, and see who these teams are, and then you'll figure out like what you have. So I don't put much credibility into these early polls. I don't even put much credibility into the early polls that comes out. What is that in October?
Yeah, once they start that playoff poll or whatever it is,
Yeah.
the power ranking poll that comes out maybe toward Halloween, actually.
But now you got 12 teams in, so that's going to be interesting. That you got.
Yeah,
you could have. It's going to be. You could have some 2-loss teams. You could have a 3-loss conference champion, who then knocks out a 1 or 2-loss, team from another conference. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah. So with 12 teams in the league, you got 7 of them that are ranked in the top 8.
Well, and then with
That's unprecedented to me, and that shows me the power of that league. Now I know polls are nothing. They don't win you a game. They don't.
Right.
They don't. They don't give you any juice.
So you're talking rat poison. That's what this is right here. This is rat poison.
Well,
Saban used to call it rat poison when you talk up the SEC and then they start losing and
they start believing what he's telling you.
Well, I don't know about rat poison, but I nailed 3 chipmunks today with some rat traps.
There you go.
No, and I agree from a coaching standpoint. When I was coaching basketball and when Anderson was ranked number 1, number 2, number 3, I thought it was nice for our community. I thought it was nice for our kids. It didn't matter to me because I was still going to prepare for either Marion or Muncie Central or somebody like that the same way I would if we were 250th ranked in the state. But I think it's a nice show of power for that league. And when you talk about that league, you always got to start out with Kirby Smart in Georgia, man, right?
Oh, absolutely. Kirby has done a phenomenal job there. Of course, where did he come from?
No, he's an Alabama guy. I understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lane Kiffin is an Alabama guy at Ole Miss.
Sark
at Texas is a reclamation project that Nick Saban took on. Sark was down and out, man.
Yeah.
Sark was the head coach at Southern Cal for a while, and got into the booze and got himself jammed up a little bit. Got fired. Saban brought him on the staff, got him rolling again, got his confidence out there again, and now he's the head coach of Texas.
And doing a great job, right? I mean, obviously that team has made great strides over the past couple of 3 years. So.
Yeah. So when you watch those teams play, can you see similarities of Nick Saban and his Alabama program in those programs that have his assistant coaches in them?
I think what you see is just a lot of physicality on those programs. Especially at Georgia, you're going to see defense that is, very aggressive. They hit hard. They cover well. They play their gap schemes really well. Rarely you're going to see a Georgia defender out of position. And that's what makes those teams so solid, right? I mean, they're very disciplined, and they play really hard. Obviously, I mean and with great talent, you're gonna do some great things with that. So, but you'll also see that, at Texas, right? Sark had to go out and recruit an offense and a defensive line that matched an SEC team, and he went out and did that. And you saw it last year when Alabama played Texas. Texas ended up winning that ball game. Now, we don't need to talk about why, but you could say down in the trenches, they were very competitive, you know. So,
One of the things I was going to ask, too, is probably one of the best things that's happened to Georgia as the season started, because of during the offseason, all we heard was all the off the field problems they were having.
Yeah.
You know, players getting themselves in trouble, this, that, and the other, that gives the sports people something to talk about.
Right.
Now it's time to play football.
Right.
And all that other stuff gets shoved off to the side. What's your first impressions of the new coaching staff at Alabama?
So far, it seems like DeBoer has not dropped off very much. I mean, we did lose some key talent, down to Ohio State. That's hurting right now. But he's been able to bring other guys in. Our secondary is hurting a little bit. It's a little weaker this year. I mean, we lost 2 to the NFL, so we've got some freshmen in there. So that part of it is going to be questionable as the season goes along. I mean, haven't really played a really strong team at this point, a ranked team. So we don't really know exactly how that secondary is going to hold up. But so far, I think what we're seeing is that this team is very explosive. I think offensively, we haven't seen everything that they have to offer at this point. Obviously, you want to till Georgia. Not to discount Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a very tough game on the road. I just think you'll see a different Alabama team against Wisconsin than you will against Georgia, just because you got to play the opponent a little different there. But I think offensively with Sheridan, they're doing a great job of mixing it up. We've got a very talented wide receiver from Mobile, Alabama, which is where I'm from, Ryan Williams.
Imagine that, a wide receiver, right? Imagine
17
that.
years old. He should be playing his senior year of high school right now, and yet he's already scored 3 touchdowns for Alabama.
They took care of him. They didn't haze him or anything when he was running down the field. They were cheering for him when he came off the field. Everybody was happy for him. I saw that because they even mentioned he said he should be in high school right now. He's the youngest player in Division I.
Yeah, phenomenal talent. I mean, just a phenomenal talent. And so there's a lot of hope there. But we all know, like, the meat of the schedule is going to be coming up, right?
Sure.
Start to hit late September with Georgia, and then you go into October. There's going to be some just tough SEC games that you're going to need,
we're
every bit of talent.
A week or two away from conference. Once you get into late September, and especially when you get to October, then it gets time to show what you have. That's for sure.
But we're not alarmed by what happened this past Saturday with the Bulls from South Florida.
That was a little closer than they planned at halftime. But second half, I think, and one of the people on TV said talent took over. And
eventually, yeah.
Yes, and I think one of the things that as a coach, you saw too, you had people figuring things out. It took them the first half to kind of figure out what they wanted to do. They went in at halftime.
It's called adjustments.
Made some adjustments at the half, came out and took care of business in the third quarter.
Well, and I think we were discussing with someone earlier about you just can't plug and play some of these players. Yeah. I mean, even though they're top talent. So Alabama's offensive line, the 2 tackles were out. So you move Booker over to Caden Proctor, he'll be an NFL prospect, probably top first round, but he was injured. We had Pritchett on the other end was injured, and so they put in a freshman, Formby, and he just gets, he had a very tough game. I mean, he just got beat frequently, and so that made it hard on the offense to execute. And so, when your offensive line has got these holes in them, everyone thinks, oh, you just put the next guy in and everything will be okay. And it's like, no, it's not that easy. Even against talent like South Florida, where they're smaller, but they were faster, they could get back to that quarterback a little faster. And so we had several touchdowns that were called back for, offensive holding. I think there were 4 holding calls in the first half alone. So you get those, those get called back, and that just breaks your momentum, and it's hard to get a rhythm going. So eventually, Alabama puts Pritchett back in at right tackle, and what do? We start running off that side and gashing on that right side. We get a couple of touchdowns, and before you know it, the game's blown open at that point. So
one of the things that I think is really an important aspect to schools like Alabama is that they were able to stockpile depth at those positions. And kids, and I mean, kids were 5-star players, 5-star recruits, and they were and they were on the second team or the third team at Alabama. And now when Alabama incurs an injury, you're moving a 5-star kid up. But now because of NIL, those 5-star kids that maybe were third-team players, in the SEC schools, they're taking money and they're going to play in other in other schools, which then leaves the depth at the schools in the SEC. I mean, just a little thinner because maybe they're not 5-star guys now that are your backup guards or tackles.
Right.
Maybe they're 4-star or 3-star guys.
Right. And in some ways, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that, these other guys got time to play. Formby at right tackle. It's because you got to develop them at some point. And if you get another injury, which they probably will, you got to have those guys ready to go against tough SEC defenses. So, yeah, they're the depth at offensive line for Alabama this year is not quite there. I think the same thing in the secondary. But they got enough talent around them. I think they can still have a really good season. I think, there'll probably be 1 or 2 losses in there somewhere, realistically. But I think with the 12-team playoff, you just need to get in. And then from there, then you can make your run, So that makes it interesting.
So last year at this time, we were talking, who's going to be the quarterback at Alabama? Jalen Milroe got a shot last year early. He didn't play well. The Buckner kid who transferred over from Notre Dame got a shot.
Gosh.
He was a train wreck.
You had to bring him up, huh?
Yeah, no, but I mean that happened. That happened.
It did.
Tommy Rees was the OC. Tommy Rees brings Buckner in, and Milroe. I mean, Nick Saban wasn't happy with Milroe, and gives the other quarterback and Buckner a shot. Those guys, in the immortal words of 1946, Mr. Basketball, Jumpin' Johnny Wilson, couldn't bust a grape. So now Nick Saban goes back to Milroe. Milroe figures it out a little bit. The offensive line gels, the running game gels. And now we're talking about Jalen Milroe as a really, really good quarterback in
And
the
a possible
SEC.
Heisman candidate.
It's exactly right.
But what we still saw Saturday night was because he's such a phenomenal talent, he's probably if not the top talent on the field, at least the top 3 of talent on the field. He tries to do too much. And so he took some really bad sacks Saturday night that put us, behind the sticks. And, he's got to learn to get rid of the ball. You just sometimes you cannot outrun everybody and get points. Right? You have to pass the ball and live for another down and not cause damage to your team. But Saturday night he took a couple of bad sacks. That was like the old Milroe.
Trying to do too much.
Yeah. And so there's a little bit of that still in him that we'd like to see.
We saw that in the Bears quarterback this past weekend in the first half.
I mean, not in the Bears quarterback. We saw that in the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, an old SEC University of Kentucky quarterback, Will Levis, is going down, take the sack, live to play another down, and he tries to flip it out, and it gets intercepted, and the Bears go down and score and win the game. Take the sack, or throw it out of bounds.
Right.
There's no shame in throwing it out of bounds, and now it's third down.
Right.
And your team, I mean, you didn't hurt your team, but quarterbacks and even young quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, a phenomenal generational talent, Jaden Daniels from LSU, a generational talent. And when those guys get put into the NFL at an early age, it takes time because of the speed of the game.
Right.
And Milroe, I mean Milroe is a phenomenal athlete. Justin Fields was a phenomenal athlete. But the difference maybe between some of those is when Caleb Williams breaks the pocket, his eyes are up, and he's looking to push the ball up the field with the pass. Where Justin Fields, if his first read wasn't there, he was taking off running. Now I don't know a Jalen Milroe well enough to know if when he breaks the pocket, he's looking just to go, or if he's looking to break the pocket with his eyes up.
He's improved tremendously with that. He is looking up, and he did make a couple of plays Saturday night where as he was scrambling, he was looking up and he, dished the ball off a little bit, and got some yards out of that. So that was pretty good of him. But it's when you're that kind of talent, you just think you can, do everything on the field, and you can't. It's very difficult to do.
Talk about some of the other schools in the Southeastern Conference that you think are really, really good this year.
Well, so Texas obviously showed what they can do, especially on an offense. Offensively, Sark is a great talent there. So I think Texas is going to be a formidable team. Tennessee is looking really tough. They beat a decent NC State team pretty bad Saturday night. So I would suspect that NC State's going to be, Tennessee is going to be a pretty good team. Ole Miss is another one.
Joey Dart. It seems like Joey Dart's been there for 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, he's seems like he's been there a while.
Well, no, and with NIL money, he's making a mill. So Joey Dart's saying, why do I got to go to the NFL? I got 3 hots in a cot. I got all the chicks I need.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
So let me just play for Coach Kiffin.
Yeah. Well, and we'll see if his offensive line can hold up for him, right? Because that's been an issue in the past. He's just scrambling for his life, and then he'll make some crazy throws. But we'll see. But Ole Miss is going to be another tough team. And then once you get past that, I'm not really sure. Maybe Oklahoma might be a decent team.
Missouri early has played well.
Missouri, yep. They're looking tough. So, yeah, there's a lot of obviously a lot of top talent in the SEC. It's going to be interesting to see as they play one another at the end of the season. Have they beat up on each other so much that instead of getting 6 or 7 teams in the playoff, maybe only 3 or 4.
Right. Well, you got to mention LSU too.
Brian Kelly, boom! Brian, I love Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly takes a lot of crap,
He's
man.
a coach.
But he coaches them up, man.
He's a
all-time
coach.
winning coach at Notre Dame. He had Jaden Daniels last year. He is a coach.
Let's just face it, right? Jaden Daniels, we're finding out now he should have won the Heisman, right?
He's pretty good.
He led that team last year.
He did win the Heisman last year.
I thought it went to Williams, no?
That was the year before.
That was the year before.
Okay.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels
obviously
won it last year.
Yeah.
He won it last year? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, he's a phenomenal talent. And he led that team, through a lot of tough games, especially, again, beating Alabama. But this year you're seeing, Nussmeier's a great quarterback, a good quarterback, but he is not a Jaden Daniels. And I think sometimes LSU is really struggling on offense to kind of get things moving, get in some rhythm, get people open. And I don't know that they have the wide receiver talent that they had last year.
They've had. Jamar Chase, Neighbors, the guy. So I'm the New York Giants, PK. I ain't got a quarterback, but I'm drafting Malik Neighbors in the 5th, in the number 5.
They don't have anybody to throw it to him.
No, so you need to suit up and go back. I'm just saying. Daniel Jones yesterday can't bust a grape, but they got a great receiver in Malik Neighbors. And sometimes when I'm watching the NFL draft, and I will watch from the first pick all the way to Mr. Irrelevant, because I study that stuff. I love that stuff. And I don't know why sometimes those general managers don't draft for need. Because obviously, to me, the New York Giants need someone that can sling it, man.
Yeah. And I don't think that jury's still out, because you may see a move here in the next couple of weeks. You never know. Somebody that's sitting on the bench as a number 2, they may go find them.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but the SEC's always been one of my favorite conferences. The big dog is still Georgia, and until somebody beats Georgia's still the big dog.
Well, who beat Georgia last year?
I know who beat Georgia last year. Come on, come on, man. But you would say that though. I mean, the Georgia's still the big dog in the SEC, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, you would say they're the most solid team
Yeah.
right now. Offense, defense, special teams, and then Kirby Smart, right? He's got them playing great ball and has them up ready for every game, right? Which is hard for some teams to do, right? Some teams want to play down to the level of the talent that they're playing. Smart keeps them playing at a top level.
Fighting Irish.
We've seen that recently, huh?
Yeah. So was there
Little jab in there.
so in any part of your mind
Which one? I should have hit the zinger on that one.
was there any?
I didn't say any team, but you guys obviously.
There you go.
Was there any thought that you would have said that Kirby Smart would ever entertained an idea to go to Alabama?
After being at Georgia?
Yeah. When Nick Saban left.
No,
Would he
no.
ever have
He's a
entertained
Georgia
that?
guy, right? I mean, he graduated from
he's a
Georgia.
Kirby played
guy.
at
He just
Georgia.
happened-
He's
High
not
school in
leaving.
Georgia. He graduated from Georgia.
He's
Played
a Georgia
at Georgia.
guy. He just happened to be an
Yeah.
assistant at Alabama for
Right.
So what are your
So-
so what are your thoughts on Dabo Sweeney at Clemson? Because I know the Alabama people met with Dabo Sweeney on a tarmac on a plane, and were very, very interested in giving the job to Dabo Sweeney, an ex-Alabama assistant,
Yep.
and on that staff.
And he played at Alabama.
Yeah, and so Dabo Sweeney comes out and says, I'm taking high school guys and they're going through the program, and he ain't messing with the NIL only in certain situations. So what's your thought on him right now in Clemson football?
I think Alabama got the right man.
I don't think there's any question.
I think the game has moved on, and if you're not going to get in the transfer portal and pick up some, talent there, which I think you talked about earlier. I mean, some of these, MAC schools, Southwest Conference schools. Some of these programs have players that have been playing, 4 years, sometimes a little longer. They're pretty talented, right? And they're skilled. Whereas even if you try to bring in a 5-star freshman, they may not be as seasoned, and so therefore they're just not as tough, and not aware of what all they need to do. So I think Clemson, obviously they've got issues, and it starts on the line, right? Everything starts on the offensive and defensive line, and so he had a crew there. He had some great assistants, and he had some great recruits on the offensive and defensive lines, and he had a phenomenal quarterback a couple of times, right? Watson and the long blonde-haired kid.
Lawrence.
There you go. But now he's struggling a little bit with some of that, I think, and you gotta get into that transfer portal and
I agree.
pick up some talent.
I agree.
And that was one of the great things about Saban, right? I mean, you look at Saban in 2007 and winning in 2009. You look at those teams versus the teams that he had, in 2015, 16. Saban kept adjusting to what was happening in the game, and he would moan and groan about, these quick snap teams and RPOs and all of that, and what did he end up doing? He ended up recruiting
the same thing.
the same players to run those kind of, and getting Sark in there and Kiffin in there. I think Kiffin is the one that got him going on that. So, and that's unfortunately, I think with Dabo, you really got to adjust to the game, and if you're not ready to do that, you're going to fall behind.
Well,
right?
the game and the game's going to pass you by because
Yeah.
everybody else is doing it. Hey, listen, Mark, we certainly appreciate you giving your input on some Southeast Conference football, man. I know your heart bleeds crimson. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
I know, man. I know, and I certainly enjoy our friendship and our Christian relationship, that side of it also. So again, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. It's fun.
We will. I mean, if we ever have any Alabama questions,
We'll get hold of him, especially we get to November. We may have to get back in here and get.
well, yeah, we may have to get the boys back in here in November. I mean, IU
Figure out
could be
what's going
6-2 or 2 and forever. Who knows? Yeah, no.
You just never know.
Yeah. So anyway, Glenn, thank you, man.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
All right. Hey, I want to get to this now, and I mean, we have to get to this. Notre Dame 14, NIU 16. I just can't.
All the
I can't
local
tell
people
you.
have their opinions, that's for sure.
So what do you think some of their opinions are?
Well, I think the line did awful. The quarterback, they need a new quarterback. He's not the right one. Wide receivers are awful. And then they start working on the coaches. About coaches didn't do this, coaches didn't do that. So you can go a lot of different directions. It was a total breakdown of the game. That's for sure.
Well, so there's one area of the game that I think is really fascinating, and I think a lot of people would not think this way because they look at NIU and they say a team from the Mid-American Conference, Ball State, Toledo, Bowling Green, blah blah blah, but the NIU program had 20 of 22 starters back, and from that standpoint, you had experienced kids on the offensive line, and they went through and then they talked about the offensive line.
How many games they had started compared to Notre Dame,
Yeah,
and it was like triple.
And all of the offensive linemen for NIU came from the state of Wisconsin.
And so this for them, this was like game 8 or 9 because they've been through this. It might have been game 14 because they've all played together last year. Where you've got Notre Dame, it's game 2 because they've got so many new faces.
Yeah, and the weakness of the Fighting Irish now, obviously, is in their offensive line, where you have one player that started maybe 6 games, and the rest of those guys are young rookies, and I don't care. I don't care what level of defensive lines you're playing against. You're still playing against strong, athletic kids, and those kids were seniors at NIU. So I'm not trying to make any type of excuses for Notre Dame because in my estimation, you saw Indiana University beat Western Illinois 77-3, and Notre Dame goes down on their first drive and throws 7 on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And can't throw
that was
any more. Can't throw any more on the board.
I know. So you just wonder what happened. But the bottom line was Northern Illinois, they controlled the line of scrimmage. And that's the base of any ball game. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They put people up on the line, and Notre Dame couldn't block them.
So Notre Dame is projected to have one of the strongest back sevens in the country, and by that I mean linebackers and defensive backs and safeties. I mean in the country, and so Ethan Hampton. I mean, just an average QB, average at best. It comes out on the broadcast. All he ever wanted to do was be the quarterback at NIU. Is from DeKalb, Illinois, lived there. That's his whole dream.
Hometown boy.
He goes 10 for 19 for 198 yards against the projected one of the top 5 back sevens in the country.
Yes.
Now, how does that happen?
You tell me. How does that happen? Well, you know, the first touchdown was a miscommunication in the secondary. They switched off into a zone, and then the back man in the cover 2, he goes for an interception.
Yeah.
And misses. Well, there's nobody behind him.
Yeah.
And the guy had 50 yards of clear sailing.
Well, and that was the running back Ontario Brown, who ran the ball 20 times for 99 yards.
And then he gets hurt.
But this is the biggest series late in the game. And it's, I don't know, maybe 6 minutes left, 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. It's 4th and 2. It's 4th and 2. No, I'm sorry. This is on the game-winning drive. It's 4th and 2 for Northern Illinois. And Ethan Hampton runs a little option, pulls the ball, and runs around the right end for 4 yards, gets a first down. It's 4th and 2. So where is the discipline of the contained guy for Notre Dame, understanding that I got the QB?
You keep him inside and get the inside pursuit to cover.
I got the QB.
Up. Yes.
There was
no assignment. Yeah.
He
got clear to the
sideline, and
just breakdown after breakdown.
And then I say this. So Northern Illinois or Notre Dame gets an interception at the 2-minute and 54-second mark. 2 minutes and 54 seconds. So Notre Dame has the ball. the first play is a 9-yard running play.
Yes.
9-yard running play. Okay? So Riley Leonard comes up to the line of scrimmage. Boom. They snap the ball with 16 seconds still left on the play clock. Absolutely zero clock
No
management.
clock management, yeah.
I mean, we're going to run that down to 2 and take
Take
time
the
off the
2-minute
clock.
warning.
And then the next 3 plays are passing plays. Clock stops, and I'm screaming to myself.
And at the time they're ahead, they're still ahead, right?
16-14.
Yeah, they're still up
I'm
2.
screaming to myself, run the ball.
Yeah, they've got 2 of the best running backs around.
Run the ball. And we obviously know what happens. They throw a little out pass. They get the first down, throw another pass. And now they're trying to go over the top. You run the ball. And I don't care. I don't care if the score is 16-14. I don't care if they get a touchdown there and it's 23-14. It doesn't matter to me. The only thing that matters is coming out of that game with a dub.
Yes.
With a W.
It's just go
I
win
have
the
a little
game.
nugget. You want to hear it?
I firmly believe this. Hold on for a second, Scott. I firmly believe this. I firmly believe that Notre Dame was trying to score to maybe up the, get 23 points,
Right.
23-14 or something like that, and had full conviction that they were going to win the game.
Yes.
And didn't play it out the right way you would play a game out at the end of a game.
Yeah, that's obvious. Scott, what'd you say?
Said I had a little nugget. I saw something on Twitter that Notre Dame is through 2 weeks, they are the only Power 5 team to not have a passing touchdown nor a sack.
Yeah, they're dead last in passing efficiency. I saw that.
Yeah, and so, it's just conjecture. I don't know, but I would assume we give Riley Leonard close to $1 million to come in. And here's the question. At what point in time do you say, Steve Angeli, you're going to be Steve Angeli looked really good in that bowl game. Now, granted, there were a lot of starters that were out on both sides of the ball. But I thought he played really well. I don't see Riley Leonard as the answer, to be quite honest with you. And maybe it's not Riley Leonard. Maybe it's the famous Mike Denbrock, who is the offensive coordinator, who had Jaden at LSU.
He had Jaden Daniels last
at
year.
LSU. And
He doesn't have Jaden Daniels this year, but is he still running the same plays?
And he doesn't have phenomenal wideouts, but is he going up the field? Is he taking shots up the field? I don't see a lot of shots up the field. Greathouse dropped.
They had a couple drops, didn't they?
Yeah, and he dropped a potential touchdown pass.
Yeah. The statistics I think we saw, Scott, said that Notre Dame is dead last in passing efficiency over 20-yard plays, 20 yards down the field. They're dead
Right,
last.
they're not
and
trying to take the top off anybody.
And they're dead last in touchdown score because they have zero passing touchdowns. So
Here's
you're
a
exactly right.
question for you.
Okay.
Do you think if they lose another game, do you think they'll just start CJ Carr and see how he does?
I don't think they're there
Well,
yet.
I don't think they would start CJ Carr. I think the guy they would go to is Steve Angeli.
And it could
their
be,
backup
But you're
quarterback.
not a senior.
He's a junior, but I
Think he would
don't
start
think
over CJ Carr next year?
No. I think CJ Carr will be your quarterback for the next 2 or 3 years, and will end the deal with Notre Dame going into the portal for a quarterback, at least for a while. But I'm not sure that they want to throw the reins over to CJ Carr yet, because I still think with their schedule, and so the fans in South Bend, the media, they're saying, and I don't know. Are they saying Notre Dame? Okay, Notre Dame's going to run off another 7-game winning streak like they did when Marshall beat them, and then Notre Dame might be relevant again.
There's a group of people that are hoping that happens. Now, let's say that
Could
doesn't
that happen? Of course.
Sure, it
USC
could.
looks
Now,
really good though when they get to the end of the year.
yeah. Now let's turn this around the other direction. What happens if Notre Dame struggles down at Lafayette first half, and they go in the locker room and that game's a close game one way or the other? At halftime, do they talk about making a change at quarterback for the second half of that game at Purdue? I mean, I think that might happen also.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think their hope, and the answer to that is no, because I hope they say that Riley Leonard is not going to struggle.
Right.
And if they're going to open up, the passing game, then I think they need to open up the vertical passing game a little bit and take some shots because teams are just loading the box on them. And the great running game that they have with Love and the other good running back. I mean, those lanes are clogged, and the offensive line isn't good enough to bust it open right now.
And I think I read earlier they only had 16 rushes the other night. One of the running backs had 4, and the other one had 11 rushes. That was at 4 or 5, and the other one had 11 or 12 rushes total for the game the other day of a Notre Dame team that's been traditionally very run oriented.
And again, I'm screaming, run the ball. Run the football and put accountability on that offensive line.
Yeah, we will hear whispers here as the week progresses at practice if Angeli's getting additional snaps with the first team during the week at practice, seeing if he's getting more than what snaps than he got last week. And that might be a little bit of a hint of what's going on behind the scenes about are they going to, how short is the leash on your quarterback?
Yeah, I think, and they say, and, I mean, the pundits say, but us coaches know. I mean, we've been in that situation. We've lost games that we shouldn't have lost.
Sure.
But not when I've had a team that was ranked number 1 or number 2 in the state. Now, we might have played poorly for a quarter or a half, but
you figured out a way to win, didn't you?
But we figured out a way to make the adjustments and take care of business. And I kept waiting for Notre Dame maybe to make some adjustments. They would have a nice running play because Love did rip off 11 rushes for almost 80 yards. So they'd run the ball for maybe 5 or 6 or 7 yards, and then get stuffed at the line of scrimmage, and then Riley Leonard would come out and throw an incomplete, and it's 3 and out.
Yeah, and. I think bottom line is this was the biggest upset ever because it was a 28-point spread, and they not only didn't make the spread, they got beat. This was bigger than the Marshall loss.
Yeah, and so
it's the biggest win in the history of the Mid-American Conference.
Oh, sure.
Without question, because at that time Notre Dame was 5th in the country. Now NIU did beat Alabama. But before the Saban era was there.
But yeah, Alabama back in the 70s when we were in school, they went through a stretch when Coach Curry, one of the old Packers, was the coach.
Bill Curry.
Yeah, Bill Curry. They weren't very good.
And we'll see. And we'll see what happens now. But my hope is that they figure this out with the offensive line. The freshman Knapp. He looked overmatched against the Mid-American Conference team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were times that he got whipped by the defensive tackle, defensive end of a Mid-American Conference
team. But you mentioned he was playing against veterans. Those guys were juniors and seniors that have been down the road before. So they were good players, and they knew all the tricks how to do things. So it was obviously a challenge that they could not meet. So all your experts, it's time to overreact, and we've seen that here for the last 3 or 4 days since the game happened. And everybody's ready to get their life jackets on and get ready to abandon ship. And then some people will stick around and they say we're going to get this fixed.
Yeah, so I'm one of those that is going to say, it's game by game now. It's practice by practice. Get the best players out there, and I know, and Marcus Freeman talked about this. I mean, we know the Marshall deal. We know that. We're going to prepare not to be in that scenario again.
Sure.
And sometimes when players just hear that over and over and over again, Marshall, it's ingrained in their brain.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guarantee you've got teams this week that are going to be saying the same thing. Texas, for example, is going to go back night. They play UT San Antonio next week. They got a trap game because they went to Ann Arbor and did well. Now are their players going to go back and mentally can they rebound and get ready to play again? So, Scott,
do you think Notre Dame is still do you still think Notre Dame's a playoff team with 1 loss, even though that loss is really, really bad?
Well, I mean, if Notre Dame runs the table, and is able to beat, I mean, Louisville played really well the other night. I mean,
And
if
SC
they're able
looks
to beat,
really good too.
if they're able to beat Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, I mean, and who knows if Florida State's going to right the
Well,
ship.
and here's one thing you think about too. If Northern Illinois has a good season, maybe they win the MAC. That gives a little bit of validity.
There's no
Northern Illinois playoff
no
game?
I'm just
validity
saying.
in this game.
I'm just saying.
There's no validity. As a matter of fact, I should cast my vote for dumbass of the week on that comment right there. Forget any validity for Northern Illinois. I think if Notre Dame does run the table, and I mean, that Southern Cal game. I mean, Southern Cal's got a nice quarterback coming back. That Southern Cal game going to be tough in Los Angeles unless Notre Dame gets better, step by step and game by game.
Yep. Scott, find my little Frick's car and let's get this. Let's take care of the road team of the week.
Well, and I think there's two of them, right?
Well, we've talked a lot about football. I had several games if we back up to the high school stuff. We talked earlier. Jimtown beat Fairfield. Lake Central beat Portage. Center Grove went down to Louisville and beat a very good Trinity team. We mentioned St. Joe went over to New Prairie and beat New Prairie. But you've got two college games at 2:30, 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. I was already to tell you Texas was going to be my road team of the week. And then about 6 o'clock, I had to change my mind.
Yeah, so you have to go on the college level.
This is an easy pick because, like you said, it's the biggest win in MAC history. Northern Illinois over Notre Dame has to be your Frick's road team of the week to come into South Bend and beat the Irish.
And then if I was going to pick a high school game, I would pick St. Joe over New Prairie because New Prairie had scored a lot of points.
Sure.
I don't know their level of competition, but for St. Joe to go in and beat New Prairie at New Prairie, I think that's surely a quality one.
Well, I think so. Locally, it would be. Now state-wise, the state people are probably going to tell you Center Grove going down and beating Trinity in Louisville. It was a big deal also. So, Scott? Do you have a banner for us for our new segment that Heck's got going?
I even have a video.
Well, give us a look here. We have a new segment. Go ahead. What's the name of this?
Well, no, it's the dumbass of the week. Whoever we would think made the bonehead play, whether it's in sports, whether it's in entertainment, whatever it may be. And you know what? I don't know if the dumbass of the week is the right vernacular here. I might think the bonehead of the week or something like that.
Well, show us put the graphic on there for us.
Yeah, let's see what we have here. There we go.
That's
go. Beautiful. We're staying with the dumbass of the week. And I mean, I don't know if Pat really thought about it. Stephen A. Smith Memorial Dumbass of the Week.
That fits. We'll just leave it there. I hope somebody sees that and posts that and puts that national. We might get some big views on that one.
But I think the dumbass of the week goes to me, to be quite honest with you, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm not one to crack on myself or put myself down. But the other morning, we have a Keurig, right? And I get my cup ready. I put a little bit of cream in. I put a little bit of sugar in. I put the Keurig cup into the machine. I close the machine down. I pick the size of my cup I want, which is the biggest. And then I go and I feed the dogs.
Okay.
I feed the dogs. I come back. What was the one thing I forgot to tell you that I did?
You didn't put water in it.
Water's in it, man.
You didn't put a cup under it.
I didn't put my cup underneath the Keurig. And there's coffee brewing going all over the cupboard. Of course, I'm always in my late mode when it's going to school, so I throw a towel down there. I'm trying to clean it up. When I get home, my wife's all over me. Why didn't you clean the cupboard? Blah, blah, blah. And I don't think there's any question.
That we can go with that.
I think that would qualify as our first dumbass of the week.
Can I give you some nominees that I would put in as seconds and thirds?
Yes.
One of them I had mentioned I thought would be Stephon Curry earlier in the week because he decided he wanted to support Kamala, our new supposedly candidate for president, but didn't know why. Second,
so he didn't give a reason why.
didn't give a reason why, but
Okay.
he just thought that was a good idea. So again, it just shows you some athletes just need to be quiet and play their sport. We don't care about their political views or their whatever causes they have. Just shut up and play. That's my whole premise on that. Second one, how about Will Levis and his decision making in the ball game the other night?
That would have definitely qualified. That would have been in it. Well,
That would have been a good
that's
one.
the top three right there.
And the third one would have been, I don't know the name of the kid, Scott, the Oregon player that went in for the touchdown that dropped the ball at the 1 yard line. Yeah. In the Oregon game, one of the kids, went in and was, running in and dropped the ball about the half-yard line and let it lay. It did happen to roll in the end zone, and one of the big fat linemen picked it up and got the credit for the touchdown.
That would have been a good. I mean, that
So
would have
those
been a
were
good
those were the
candidate.
things that I saw over the weekend that I would have said would have fit your new thing. But I like yours.
All right, I appreciate that. And if anybody moving forward has any thoughts on that, please give us. Chat it up with us. Let us know. Hey, I got to spend a couple minutes on the Chicago Bears now.
Now hurry up. Hurry up. My food's getting cold.
The Chicago Bears play the Tennessee Titans. Just a lot of energy in Chicago now. They drafted well. They brought in a new quarterback. They signed some great defensive players. But when you bring the quarterback in, he's a rookie. And I don't care how good he is at the collegiate level, he's still a rookie because the game is so fast. He goes maybe 12 of 20, 12 of 24, 25 for 93 yards. The Bears end up winning because down the stretch, they block a punt going for a touchdown. The Will Levis side flip that we intercept. And take it in for a touchdown. We kick 3 field goals. I like the Bears from a defensive standpoint. I like the Bears from a special team standpoint. I'm the first one that is going to say that rookie quarterbacks will struggle. I mean, Peyton Manning's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, sure.
His first year.
And we remember that.
His first year, he threw 27, 28 interceptions and struggled. Now, Caleb Williams kind of put himself out there a little bit in his college days at Southern Cal. When he painted his nails up, he did some things.
Off the field stuff, yep.
But at the end of the day, the thing that impresses me is his teammates come out and they have his back. They support him. There I am. There I am.
Just threw that one in there.
That's good. I like that. But his teammates support him. His teammates have his back. He's a leader for a young kid, and I think it'll take time for those rookie quarterbacks to get their feet under him. Jaden Collins, he makes mistakes over at Washington. He doesn't throw any picks, but he doesn't make the big plays that maybe a veteran quarterback would make. On my way in, I'm listening to Kurt Warner, the Hall of Fame quarterback from the Los Angeles Rams, and he's breaking down all these young rookie quarterbacks. And his comment is, every rookie quarterback and even some second-year quarterbacks have no idea how to play the position yet.
Yeah.
Their footwork, their ability to make throws on time, their ability to go from read 1 to read 2 to read 3 is poor. They've gotten so much juice at the collegiate level from their athleticism.
Yes.
If the rush is coming, they're going to roll out.
Tuck it and run.
They love throwing on the run, but the NFL is pocket play.
Yeah, you can't do that.
It's pocket play now. Now you can make some of those wow plays.
Just to extend the play.
Yeah, to extend the play.
But not to make a play.
But you have to be able to execute and be good in the pocket.
Yes.
So I think when you look at the NFL last Sunday, there were really only 2 300-yard quarterbacks that played well. One of them was Tua from the Dolphins.
From the Dolphins.
Who I think maybe threw for 317 yards, and the other was Matthew Stafford from the Rams, who threw for 317
last night.
But so that leads me to say that obviously early in the season, even at the NFL level, defense is ahead of the offense.
Right.
And
if you look, most of the scores were low scores yesterday.
Yeah, but
with a couple exceptions.
But in November, you're going to have a half a dozen quarterbacks throwing for 300 yards, and you're going to have a couple quarterbacks throwing for 400 yards. But the
because they start to figure things out, right?
But the defenses are ahead of the offenses right now, and that's why the Chicago Bears won. We have a comment from Q, great Chicago Bear fan. Same formula. Williams just needs time and a real center, not a shopping cart getting pushed into the quarterback's lap, and a right guard that wants to play, unlike Nate Davis, apparently. Yeah, the Chicago Bears got to figure out that offensive line, much like a lot of teams do at this point.
I agree.
Because the offensive line is the bloodline of any offensive football team.
And again, we don't want to overreact, but like for example, tonight we got Monday Night Football, and who's on? Aaron Rodgers,
man.
See if he can last more than 4 plays.
Yeah, I'm excited. I would be excited.
But I'm interested to see how this game plays out.
I mean, I would be excited to see that game. The Cubs lost 2 out of 3 to the Yankees.
It says they're 5 out right now, the wild card.
Yeah,
Oh, that's funny. The Rangers won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees.
Yeah, no, I think. I mean, obviously, I think the Cubs are done. They gotta pass the Mets, and then they gotta pass. They gotta pass the Mets.
Yeah, the Rangers are 6 games out of the wild card, so about the same.
Yeah, and so throw your pitchers out there, try and get some hits, try and win as many as you can, because at the end of the day, if you win them all, you're going to be in. But they play at Los Angeles tonight.
Yeah, they got a late game. We can get home and see some of that.
No, I got to work tomorrow. You don't.
I can stay up and watch it.
So,
you want me to send you a text? Wake up in the middle of the night, you can see who wins, or you just want to check out yourself?
Well, not really, because at 2 a.m. I'm religious. I go to the bathroom at 2 a.m. So at 2 a.m. I'll get up, flip on that ESPN tracker, and see what happens.
See, you can figure it out yourself.
And then I'll go to bed being pissed if they lost. So maybe I won't. Anyway, we had a great show tonight. We had the great Tony Letcher from Health Markets Insurance on. He talked a lot of IU sports. We had the great Mark Havard, who knows the Southeastern Conference and is an Alabama guy through and through.
Yep, we've got a week left in the WNBA's regular season. The Fever are now in 6th place. They've got 4 games left, and I think the last game of the season is on the 19th, and then they'll start the playoffs for those 2 weeks and here at the end of September, and then it'll be time for the NBA to get started in their training camp in October.
Yeah, no, it's a phenomenal type of year, time of year with NBA, college football, professional football, the MLB winding down.
And all your hockey people want to get involved. So October is a big changeover, but let's enjoy September.
Yeah,
let's enjoy September. We got lots of football. We got baseball winding down.
And let's hope we don't get Indian summer. I mean, those last couple days, last week, Thursday and Friday, were phenomenal.
Well, this week it's supposed to get hot again. It's supposed to be 85 and 90 this week.
I know, Indian summer. Hey, listen, thanks for tuning in, folks. Scott, thanks for turning the dials. Coach's Corner with Heckin' King. And so let me get this straight. So you and your buddy held Larry Bird to 48 points.
Stop it. That was so long ago.
48.
Yeah. I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't play much.
I'm not even sure I would have said that.
I'm going to play less every time we talk about it.
I'm going to say that I would have said, hey.
I'm going to play less every time we talk about it. Matter of fact, in another week or 2, I may not even gotten in the game.
No, in another week you weren't on the team.
Yeah.
I might have said, hey, heck, I don't really know how many he got. He scored a lot.
Yeah, it was
but
a
you
bunch.
Ripped out 48 like, damn, 48.
Well, you remember certain things like that.
All right, man, you're the best, PK. Thanks for tuning in. Scott, thanks again. And we will catch you next week, same time. The Black Sedan.
and roll.